Education for nonviolence. When people look at the research about nonviolence, it is evident that the time is right for teachers and school administrators to implement a curriculum for peaceful living. This means not just teaching about peace or providing information about problems with nonviolence. It means implementing the methods and means where peace can be practiced in and outside of the classroom. It is a fact that we live in a world with conflicts, war, torture, ethno-cultural rivalries, and violence. Against those problems, there is a slow but growing recognition of value of nonviolence education to solve these problems. In order to solve the problem, nonviolence must be openly and taught to everyone. We must never depend on incidental learning, subliminal, or hidden information. Nonviolence must be actively pursued by teachers, students, families, and friends. In the words of Gandhi, I have nothing new or old, nothing new to teach in the world. Truth and nonviolence are as old as hills. All I have done is to try experiments and both on as vast a scale as I could. In this speech, I will inform you on nonviolence education, and I will start by giving you the meaning of nonviolence. What is the meaning of nonviolence? Nonviolence has so many meanings. Nonviolence rejects the use of violence towards individuals. Nonviolence in its dynamic condition means conscious suffering and holistic theory and practice that rejects aggression and violence in order to achieve goals and resolve conflicts in a constructive way. It does not mean meek submission to the will of the evildoer, but it means the pitting of one's soul against the will of triumph. Nonviolence is defined as far more than personal calm in mind and body. Peace focuses on cooperation rather than competition, sharing world resources rather than waste and hoarding, preserving nature rather than exploiting nature, equality between the sexes rather than male dominance over female and minorities, self-mastery and self-understanding rather than control or power over others, and the use of skill and talents of every human being for the general care process in all earnestness. Nonviolence must be an interdisciplinary topic in order to become a part of our attitudes and behavior. How can we get it that way? Everyone would like to see a world without war, but the only way to have this is to have a world without dictatorship. This fundamental human aspiration developed as a comprehensive theory by Gandhi. It can be identified in many examples throughout history. Nonviolent conflicts resolutions can take place in and outside of school. For example, in 2001, the education sector, UNESCO launched an initiative calling for the best practices on the conflict resolution in the field of formal and non-formal education on nonviolence. To accomplish this initiative, UNESCO requested numerous partners, various associations, schools, research institutions, and universities to contribute to this work by sending clear and simple written articles relating their experience in the prevention and transformation of nonviolence. The UNESCO publication would inform teachers, trainers, educators, parents, youth groups, and students who are confronted with the phenomenon of, I can never say that word right, of violence in formal or informal communities and looking for practical solutions. The intention of UNESCO in this project is to inform them what is best internationally on materials related to education for peace and nonviolence, but above all, to supply concrete pedagogical tools to prevent and transform the violence with which they are confronted on a daily basis in their work. Take Gandhi for instance. He was a man that lived a long time ago and had many borders to cross to get his point across to people. He faced many challenges and lots of oppression and tyranny, but he never raised his fist in thought of violence. Because he was so loved by the people, everyone started to follow his ways and eventually stopped the violence and stood up and showed their beliefs in more peaceful ways without fighting. This is a man that should be the ideal role model for society when we think about going to war. It is not surprising that, like Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr.'s decision to utilize nonviolence was based on religious principles. In fact, King discovered